All right, guys, welcome to day 441. Letting go is true wealth. You know, this is a great little 11-minute video. And I only have a few things to add to today's video, right? And the first thing I'll say is, like, these little summaries and stuff would be a great way. Like, so, you know, for those of you who are nervous about doing a YouTube channel or things like that because you don't want to be on camera or you don't like the way you look yet or whatever, like, this guy has over 1 million followers and you never see him. He does these animated little videos. You can do B-roll, and then he does a voiceover. And some people in this tribe would prefer to write. So all you gotta do is you gotta just write your 3 or 4 pages, and then voiceover, you can capture little snippets from famous people or celebrities or B-roll. There are services that allow you to do that for a minimal fee. You can actually do it from YouTube. I can show you how to do that, where you can run your YouTube, you find a YouTube clip and then record it on your phone and then edit it out and use that as your B-roll. That's a cheap way of doing it. But it's a great way to get started. It's a great way to put down your thoughts. It's a great way to help change the world, kind of talk about yourself without being on camera. You know, it's a very effective method. Especially if you've learned a lot of life's lessons, right? Actually, here, let me ask you this, listen to this, okay? Put a 1 in the comment section. Actually, put yes in the comment section, because I always forget what my numbers mean. So I go back and I'll read your comments, and all these 1s are on there, or 2s, and I'll go, what was that about? I don't remember. So put a yes in the comment section. If there is so much that you've gained from being this challenge, thank you very much, by the way, and you want to put them down on paper, you want some sort of recording of what you've learned, but there's so much that you've learned, you don't know how to get started. It's like you're almost paralyzed. Like you know that if you had some method in place, you could like put your thoughts down and then have a record of it, right? And Christina Whitaker, for example, started doing these little 1-paragraph summaries of my talks. And I was like, that's brilliant. And she goes, well, I do that so a year from now, Facebook will remind me and I can go back and I can look at it. I said, that's brilliant. So yeah, look, see all these yeses. It's like there is something you've learned from being in this tribe that you wish you could pass on to your kids, or you could share with your kids. But you know how kids are. Like, they're not going to sit down and listen to Dr. V for 45 minutes, you know? On the back of my YouTube channel, in the dashboard area, I can see, like, okay, each video, what's the average view time, you know? And I told y'all, YouTube is longer. Facebook is 3 seconds. People go to YouTube to watch longer format. But even when I say longer, the average YouTube video gets about 7 minutes, 7 to 8 minutes. That's why I want you to do at least a 10-minute video. And yes, there are people who watch the whole video. Like, I pretty much watch 90%, 95% of most of the videos. But there are people that just, you know, they're going to jump around. So if you had this method where you could put down like all the lessons you've learned, if not for anybody else to see, but for yourself, just to remind yourself, wouldn't you do it? Wouldn't you want to share it? Of course you would. You know, especially if you didn't have to be on camera or you didn't have to do whatever, right? You could do a voice memo. You could just look at, you know, here's a simple one. A lot of y'all have journals. A lot of y'all, because you're in my groups, right? And you'll show me your journals where you've written down all the big ahas from the daily lives. You could easily take that journal page and turn it into a little script and do exactly what he did today. You know, either talk about it on camera like this, or Facebook Live, or do what he did where you capture B-roll and you kind of voice over, you know. So technology makes it so much simpler to do this now. It's not as hard as it was back in the day, right? So for all of you guys who are putting yes, like, yes, I have had so many lessons. And, so, all right, watch this. How many people put me in the comment section? I'm gonna try to remember. Put me in the comment section if you've learned so much, but you know that there are lessons you've forgotten. Like if I said, like even yesterday, like, hey, who remembers 438? Did that change your world? Like, everyone was like, 438's the bomb, 438's the bomb. What was 438 again? 438, just because I just uploaded it, was the video that cut it in half, and I had to do a two-part, and it was about from a hoarder to a minimalist, and how we are good at boxing things up, and now it's time to unbox things. And the video was that lady who, like, her whole family, like, started to declutter, starting with Marie Kondo, and then went all the way and got rid of everything and moved her family to Germany. That was 438. But you sit there and you're like, really? Now probably the one that people really remember is 95. Who knows 95? I'll give you a big hug of who can remember 95. I'll just give you the answer. 95 is the orb talk. Day 95 is the orb talk. I don't know why I remember it. Everyone loved the orb talk. The very first time we talked about the orb talk, right? So our memories fail us. And these little lessons, these little snippets, you could easily use that to become, you know, better at this, learn it faster, etc. You know, these are little things that I wish that would have made me a better student in college or med school. If I just applied these little simple reminder tips and techniques, right? Okay, so what the fuck does this have to do with today? So tip number one, like, wealth is not just about money, you know? It's important. Money is important. And if anyone who's still in this tribe and still doesn't think money's important, dude, you're in the wrong group. I'm gonna tell you, you're in the wrong group. Look at y'all knowing it's the orb talk. Good job. All right. So, wealth is about more than just money, right? One of the most important measures of wealth is what we call in medicine your fund of knowledge. Like, just simple knowledge, like simple facts and figures and disease processes. And so one of the first things they taught us in med school was like, in like third year of med school, the first 2 years are more basic sciences. First year is basic sciences, second year is more pathology, you start to learn stuff, and the third and fourth year you start to go into your clinicals. And one of the first things they try to teach you in your clinicals is you have to come up with diagnoses. Okay, a patient presents with, you know, 3 days of cough, fatigue, you know, fever, malaise. What is it? Well, you have a differential diagnosis. Number one, sounds like it's the flu, but it could also be the common cold. It could be you know, a number of colds. It could also be lymphoma or leukemia, you know, down the road, you know, especially like night sweats and high fevers at night. You know, the doctor said, well, that might be just the flu. And it comes back a week later and says, no, I still have it. Well, now lymphoma goes up your list, right? So that's called a differential diagnosis. And so they try to teach you how to develop a differential diagnosis. Well, it took me too long to realize that you can only come up with a differential diagnosis if you have the fund of knowledge, if you have the science background, if you actually read your books, right? So a great measurement of wealth is fund of knowledge. Like, what do you know? What do you know about? So some comment if you love, like, your grandfather or your dad, or, you know, there's somebody in your family who fucking seems to know how to fucking fix everything. That was my dad. My dad could fucking fix anything. He could figure it out. And he had a 5th grade education in Vietnam. And his family, and he was the smartest kid in his school. And his dad took him out of school because he was the oldest kid and he had to help raise the other kids. And that's part of being in a third world country, man. You know, you don't have the luxuries of going to school, even though you're the smartest kid. And so I was always surprised. Here I am in high school and I'm taking, you know, physics, AP physics and calculus and all sorts of shit like that. And he could fucking figure out my physics projects. It's pretty crazy, right? So wealth can also be measured as like fund of knowledge. What do you know? Now watch this. Comment if you know somebody who has a huge fund of knowledge but couldn't fucking figure out their way out of a paper bag. Who can't, you know, this is our beloved absent-minded professor, who's always late to meetings and dinners. You know, when I was in med school, my cancer, you know, I was in residency, my intern year. We had this professor when I was doing my cancer rotation at MD Anderson, and he was a good surgeon, but he published a lot of works. He was an academic, you know. But I remember one morning, he's the type who would show up late to surgery, and the fellow would have to page him and sorts of stuff, and he'd come in there and he's all like, "Whoa, I'm so sorry, you know, I got to reading this article and I totally forgot what time. I totally forgot about fucking surgery." I was like, "What?" And he did that more than once on my rotation, and the fellow was always like, "You know, it's just how he is." But luckily, you know, in the OR, once you got him in there, he was a good surgeon. Then I had my program director, who was a horrible surgeon. He could quote you all sorts of facts and figures and stuff, but in the operating room, he was a disaster. He could not do anything. His nickname was The Hand. And not in a good way, because he would just take his hand and just start ripping shit, and we're like, whoa, 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 it's called dissection, man, stop. So wealth can also be measured by what you get done. So wealth is a fund of knowledge. That's good, that's important. But wealth is also, what can I get done? You know, Gordon Livingston, who wrote one of my favorite books, Too Soon Old, Too Late Smart, that I said changed my life when I read it, because I was speed reading books. I was speed reading a book a day, and I got to 12 days in a row, and then I hit that book. It's a little tiny book, and I couldn't speed read it. That's a book that you've got to read slowly. And he has another book, and I can't remember the title of the book off the top of my head now, but in it, I just read it was like the first 3 pages. He says, "We are not what we think. We are not what we believe. We are not what we do. We are not what we believe. At the end of the day, we are what we do." And I was like, damn, that's fucking powerful. You are what you do. You're not a gym rat if you don't go to the gym. You're not into fitness if you don't work out. You're not into healthy living if you keep eating junk. You know? And so when I decided to quit being a surgeon, one of the things that really got to me was, and I've talked about this before, where I thought I was going to quit being a surgeon, I would take a month off, and then I would just really hammer out content and like dominate this space, right? And then I was paralyzed for 1.5 years. And some of y'all noticed that I was doing weekly, like the whiteboard sessions, and then I stopped doing it. I made up reasons, excuses, and then I was really not putting out any content for 1.5 years. And then it was this challenge that saved me, and I started doing it because I was mad at myself, right? But I was stuck because I was like, can I still call myself a surgeon if I'm not operating? You know, because at the end of the day, you are what you do. So I struggled with that for a long time, and then I realized, well, you know, I'm attached to titles. This is the Buddhist philosophy. We suffer because we're attached to impermanent things. And so then I had to like figure out, I am still a surgeon. I'm not operating, but they can't take away my fund of knowledge. I have the knowledge of surgeons. I can watch another surgeon operate and know what's going to happen. I can have a conversation with a surgeon and know what the fuck they're talking about. So I'm still a surgeon because of my fund of knowledge. Does that make sense? So at the end of the day, you are what you do. So my next tip is, there is wealth. You can measure wealth by what you do. Does this make sense? Right? Sometimes we get so frustrated, like we get people upset. People get so bent out of shape when I talk about money and income. Wow, money's not everything, Dr. V. Money doesn't make you happy. Motherfucker, I didn't say it did. But see, let me tell you something. Only poor people talk like that. I want you to write this down on a side note. Only poor people think that way. Money doesn't make you happy. Money doesn't grow on trees. There's more to life than just money. Trust me. The wealthy people will always say, no, money is important. Money is options. Money gives you options. Money gives you choices. Money gives you freedom. They'll never say money doesn't grow and money doesn't make you happy. All of this other bullshit, right? So there is wealth in what you do. Now, what the fuck does that have to do with my weight loss surgery? I want you to really think about this and comment sincerely if you know somebody that is on this weight loss journey, who needs to lose weight, who keeps talking about getting started, who keeps asking you about your weight loss surgery, and who keeps saying they're going to join you, who keeps saying they're going to get started, who keeps saying they're going to try green smoothies, and they don't fucking do anything. Comment if you know someone like that. They are lip smackers. They will read about it. They will I got to do my research. And then at the end of the day, they don't do anything. See, that's travesty, right? Now what does this have to do? We're talking about minimalism, Dr. V. Well, when you don't do something, this is what average people don't understand. And you're not average, but they don't do anything. And then they get upset. And then they feel anxious. And then they stress out. And then they have anxiety. And then they don't like how they look. They don't like this weight they've regained. They don't like this flabby, this beer belly. They don't like their finances. So this is that feeling. I'm about to give you an aha. So then what do? They have this empty feeling inside that they don't want to acknowledge. They don't want to sit with this feeling. So what do? They eat. They stress. They buy stuff. They go on Amazon. They call it, box therapy. They have to open their Amazon. They have to refresh that order page. Oh, when is it coming? All because this is the aha, right? So they self-soothe, they eat, they buy stuff, they have alcohol addictions, they have sexual misbehaviors. Why? Because they have this feeling that they don't like. But they have this feeling they don't like because they actually don't do what it is that they're trying to, that they don't like. Does this make sense? So, at the end of the day, if you want to try to manage like your stress eating, your anxiety eating, your depression, this feeling that you don't like, the answer is the wealth is the doing. It's the doing. Can I have an aha? If you want to not feel a certain way inside, stress, anxiety, I promise you the solution is in the doing. Get out there and do. Get out there and garden. Get out there and walk in the yard. Get out there and go for a walk. Get out there and try harvesting. What do they call that? Where you go around the city and just try to find free food, like fruit that are growing on trees and lemons that are falling off of your neighbor's trees, and foraging, just foraging for wild mushrooms and wild asparagus and wild berries and stuff. Like, do the doing. If you are so fucking hungry, go forage for your food. And it's in that act of doing, even if you don't find, listen to me, even if you don't find food or fruit or whatever, it's the act of like looking, calling up your best friend or your favorite sister or your child, and let's say, hey, let's go into the woods, let's walk this creek, see if we can find some wild onions or wild garlic or watercress that's growing right by the woods, and I watched this crazy video on YouTube, and let's see if we can find some of this stuff. And even if you don't find something, it's the doing. And then what you'll do is like, wow, we had fun, we made memories, I don't feel lonely, I don't feel this anxiety, and guess what, I didn't eat. Who understands what I'm saying? A major aha. Yes, yes. Does this make sense? So what the hell does this have to do with minimalism, Dr. V? Well, that's what we're talking about. Why do you have so much shit? Why do you buy stuff? Why won't you let go? It's because I'm trying not to feel this emotion. I don't want to miss out. I don't want to forget. I don't want to whatever. Why do you not let go of your grandmother's like furniture? Well, I don't know. I keep trying to talk to my husband about it, and he won't do anything. Well, why won't he let go? Just in case. Maybe the kids will want it. Maybe the kids will want it. The kids don't want that. Trust me. Right? But it's because we can't work through this stuff. That's the problem. Let me give you the next tip. Asceticism is not the way. So, denying yourself is not the way. That's what asceticism is. The Buddha, he thought that enlightenment would come to him if he denied himself everything, to the point where he would eat 1 grain of salt, 1 grain of rice. That's all he ate for a day, was 1 grain of rice. And he was so skinny that the skin was just covering his bones. So asceticism is not the way, and he realized that that's not going to get him to enlightenment. So it's called the middle way. There is something between asceticism and just like consumerism, like absurd, like wealth and lavishness. There's a middle way. There's a way where you can take care of your body, you can have everything you need, and you can be happy, right? So why is this, what the fuck does it have to do with my weight loss surgery, Dr. V? The Buddha figured out this. When he was an ascetic and he was just barely eating, here's the next tip. He figured out punishing my body will not get me to enlightenment. So I want you to write this down, because this is a big aha for some of y'all. Punishing my body will not make me happy. Punishing my body will not fix this feeling. Punishing my body will not get me to enlightenment. Punishing my body will not get me to love myself more. Does this make sense? Like eating too much, eating till I'm stuffed is a punishment. It will not get me to love myself more. Like punishing my body so that I gain 300 pounds, so that men won't show me attention, right? I've talked about this before. This bullshit excuse about I got fat because I wanted this layer of protection. Like punishing my body will not keep men from giving me attention, will not keep people from talking about me, will not keep the abuse away. This is a huge aha. So punishing my body by saying money is not important will not get me there, will not make me happy, will not lead to enlightenment. Does this make sense? This is really powerful in your weight loss journey. So maybe you've had weight loss surgery, and maybe you're near your goal, and maybe you get frustrated, and maybe you're like at 180 and you want to get down to 150 and you're stalled. So then what happens? You fall back to old habits. Dr. V, old habits come back in. I understand that, but what are the old habits? Let me give you the next tip, which is a major aha here for you. Ready? Is this a good one? This one's going to be full of ahas for you. All right? The old habits. What are the old habits, Dr. V? Oh, I'm snacking again. I'm not eating. I'm skipping breakfast. I'm stressed out. That's my old, I'm falling back to old habits. No. The tip I want to give you today is this. Your old habit that you keep falling back into is punishing your body. That's a major aha. I'm sleeping in. I'm punishing my body. I'm snacking at night. I'm punishing my body. I'm staying up late Netflixing to 2 a.m. and I've screwed up my sleep schedule. I'm punishing my body. The old habits that slip back is not snacking, it's not boredom eating, it's not emotional. It is I am punishing my body because I don't like this feeling. I haven't done what I need to do to get rid of this feeling, so I fall back to punishing my body. Does this make sense? I've started saying, oh, I can't afford the group sessions. I can't afford to do this tribe, or oh, I got it, I'm all good. And then the habit you happen is that, like, you go back to Weight Watchers. Why? You've done Weight Watchers before. You go back to protein shakes. Why? You've tried a liquid diet before. You go back, I'm gonna hit the gym twice a day, not just once a day, but twice a day. Why? You've tried the gym before. It doesn't work. Does this make sense? Oh, but I'm too busy to garden. But you're too busy to garden, but you got time to go to the gym every day? I don't fucking stress out about this garden. It's me punishing my body, and it will not take away that bad feeling. Any ahas here? Asceticism is not the way to enlightenment. Punishing my body is not the way to enlightenment. It's not the answer. I need to stop. I need to give my body sleep. I need to turn off the social media at 10 p.m. and the Netflix at 10. I need to get up at 5 or 6 or whatever it is. I need to sit and meditate. I need to break out my journal. But Dr. V, I just moved and it's all in boxes. Why the fuck didn't you label very important stuff, my journals, you know, my meditation mat, my whatever? Well, because you put yourself back. You put yourself on the back burner. You figured like, oh no, all this other stuff is more important. I gotta box up my kids' shit so they don't mess it up. Does this make sense? It's me putting me on the back burner again. This will not work, right? So, accumulating more junk, more stuff, more purses, more shoes will not work. Holding on to your old clothes just in case will not work. Just ignoring that pile of mess is not gonna work. Tackling it, getting it, filing your taxes, paying, like doing what you need to do, calling the credit card companies, putting your bills on auto pay, that will work. Oh, Dr. V, I'm too embarrassed to go live. I don't know what to say. That does not work. Oh no, I'll write it down later because then, you know, when I have a moment, that doesn't work. You gotta write the notes now because you'll miss out on these ahas. I'll go back and watch it later. Good luck. Life happens. It doesn't work that way. You know, today's video talks about, like, it is the, you know, Sheryl Crow, it's not getting what you want, it's wanting what you've got. And here's my last tip. Elevator tip. Ready? Elevator tip, everybody. Epictetus says, it's wanting what you got. And here's the elevator tip. Why? Because what you have now was once a dream, was once a desire, was once you wished, right? This is a huge elevator tip, y'all. Epictetus says you gotta want what you've got because what you have now was once a desire, was once a dream, okay? Watch this. I'll prove it to you. You're frustrated. Let's say you started at 300 pounds. Let's say you got down to 180, and let's say you regained 20 pounds, you're at 200. And you're frustrated, you're mad, you're trying protein shakes, you are, I just can't get this weight regain off, right? I'm punishing my body. But if I had told you a year ago, you're gonna be 200 pounds, would you say, nah, I don't want that? You would say what? No, that's amazing. That'd be great. That'd be awesome. Yeah, it's better than 300. I won't be done, but yeah, I'll take 200. See, you're angry now that you're 200, but when you were 300, you would have loved to be 200. You would have loved to be 199. You might not like your spouse right now. You might not, but there was a time when you dreamt about being with your partner, with someone to go through this life with. And there will be a time when one of y'all dies and you'll be sad and lonely. There was a time, you might be so mad at your kids right now, but there was a time when you couldn't wait to have a baby. You couldn't wait to start a family. There was a time when you couldn't wait for your kids to get out of the house, to leave, to go, and now you miss them. Does this make sense? This is a huge aha. There was a time when you couldn't wait to bend over and tie your shoes, when you couldn't wait to walk. You're mad because you were doing 10,000 steps a day, now you're down to 5,000 steps a day. There was a time when you couldn't walk a block without your ankles hurting, without your lungs giving out. So now you got to be like, I want this. I'm good with this. I'm okay. I'm going to stop punishing my body. I'm going to stop it. I'm going to stop it. I'm going to do the work. I'm going to work through my stuff. I'm going to start opening up to this idea. I can start a garden. I can start a container garden. I can start a raised bed. I can get a co-op. I can, go to my apartment building and just ask them to do this plot in the front yard. I can join groups and communities. I can. Does this make sense? What you have now was once a desire and a dream. I mean, when I was 18, I was like, dude, I want a hot chick. I got a hot chick now. Sometimes sometimes she makes me mad. Sometimes I make her mad. But I have to remember that this was at one point a dream. To have this clean pool, to have this garden, to have, this relationship. And I have it now. And it's my job, like my garden, to nourish it, to let it self-seed, to self-populate, to grow the harvest. It's important that I set my bills to auto-pay so I can protect my money, I can protect my growth. It's important that I look at my bank statements every single day. It's important that I rein in any sort of spending. It's important that I plan, that I have wills in place, that I have trust funds in place, or at least explore it, or at least look at it. Dr. V said, on day 413 or 414, something like that, I said, stop what you're doing and spend 30 minutes today watching a video on cryptocurrency. Just go to YouTube and type in what is cryptocurrency? Because it's not going away. Did you do it? Did you do it? Have you been spending today's oh my God, check this shit out. 413, today's 441, fucking 30 days. It was a month ago. A month ago. Did you do it? Did you spend a day or two and learn about cryptocurrency? I'll get to it later. Or did you fall for that trick? I'll do it later. I'll watch it on the replay. I'll do it when my husband gets home because we need to learn it together. We need to do it together. This is craziness. That's the behaviors that got you in this situation in the first place. Does this make sense? How long have we been saying slingshot Saturdays, weekends, don't sleep in? We had 100 people today when normally we have 120. 20 of y'all still sleeping in. Are you going to call out your AP? Are you going to call out your AP and say, hey man, we promised we would show up on Saturdays and Sundays? Come on. Does this make sense? Change your life. This is how you do it. Day 441. Love you. Have a great day. Bye, guys.